Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the latest live session at the COP29 Virtual Ocean Pavilion. The COP29 Virtual Ocean Pavilion is co-organized by the Global Ocean Forum and Plymouth Marine Laboratory. And today we have a session that's focused on a youth-led workshop that will be facilitated by Guillaume Leroux. So I will turn it over to Guillaume to introduce the session and our delegates today. Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you, Katie. So I'm Guillaume Leroux. I'm working for Nausicaa, which is one of the largest aquarium in Europe. And one of my mission is to facilitate the Youth4Ocean Forum, which is a forum of youth from 16 to 30 years old that are passionate by the ocean. And this forum is launched by the European Commission. And in this context, we are launching a global youth consultation called the Citizen of the Ocean initiative, where we are aiming to gather the major concern of the youth through a series of online workshops that will take place from September until January. And then we will have a one-week seminar with some of the people who participated in the workshops in France to prepare them to advocate for the ocean during the UN Ocean Conference that will take place in June in Nice. So today, of course, due to the actuality, our theme of the day is about the ocean and climate. And before starting, I would like to ask you to present yourself so we can get to know each other. So first on my screen is Shaina Demik.
Hi, my name is Shayna Demick. I'm from University of Delaware in the United States. I'm a fourth year undergraduate student. I'm an environmental science major, and I also have minors in marine science and biological sciences. And I currently do research in marine science with environmental toxicology.
Okay, thank you. Next on my screen, Lisa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Picato. I'm Italian, but I'm currently living in Belgium. I'm trained as a marine biologist, and then I switched to communication, and now I'm a communication officer for Youth4Oceans. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Maina, next.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Maina. I'm from France. I just graduated from a master's in international relation and environmental policy. And now I'm an intern at Nausicaa on the plastic pollution reduction project.
Thank you, Maina. Egun, if I'm pronounced correctly.
Hello, it's Aygun.
Aygun.
Okay, not a problem. I'm Aygun Karlı. I'm from Turkey. I'm doing my PhD in Hacettepe University. My field of study is marine policy, marine environmental policy. So that's it. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Aygun. Isabel Bell Cornas.
Hi, I'm from University of Delaware, and I'm studying energy and environmental policy. And I'm also doing research on like sea level rise on the coast of Delaware and the ocean, the beaches there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alisa? Wenzel?
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I'm a fourth year undergraduate student at the University of Delaware studying marine science and public policy, and my research focuses on marine pollution and intersectional climate justice.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Elizabeth, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. I come from Belgium, but I'm currently living in France, and I'm studying marine chemistry at the University of Toulon. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Joe Adams, next.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see everyone. I'm Joe. I'm currently studying applied zoology at the University of Harper Adams. I'm currently on a year-long placement at Sea Life, and I'm looking to do some more research into elastomeric behaviour.
Okay, thank you. Thais.
Hi, I'm Thais. I'm French. I just finished my master degree in international law and I'm doing research on deep sea mining.
Okay, thank you so much. Juliette.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you. I'm also French and I'm a researcher. I'm doing my PhD on MPAs on marine protected areas in the European Union, what activities they regulate, if they regulate anything, and on the decision processes, the political processes we're organizing to agree or not on what regulations we're going to implement in MPA.
Okay,
And I'm
thank
also
you.
a member, I need to say it, I am a member of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network, and it's mostly involved in the frame of the Global Biodiversity Framework. And if you're looking for a network to act for biodiversity, that's one of them.
Thank you, Juliette. Dana, you're not able to speak.
I can speak.
Oh,
I'm sitting outside.
perfectly.
Hi, I'm Dana. I'm Egyptian, but was born and raised in the United Arab Emirates. I am a penultimate law and politics student at the University of Glasgow, and I'm currently researching legal language and how to make ocean literacy and ocean law accessible for different communities, as well as doing a bit of research with the Arctic University of Norway. To analyze international law and how it coincides with marine genetic resources and deep seabed mining as well. And I'm the founder of EcoSpectrum and the House Orange. Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot any of the young people who registered to take part to the workshop.
I think we've had Kalina that just joined.
Kalina.
Yeah, hi guys. Sorry, yeah, I got a bit delayed.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Kalina. I'm originally from Bulgaria, but I'm currently doing my PhD in a hybrid system that makes offshore wind and aquaculture at the University of Plymouth. I did my master's in here and I did my bachelor's in here. And I'm also an ambassador for two organizations, one that works with marine conservation in the Black Sea, and then the other one works for like general ocean conservation. And that's it very quickly.
Thank you so much, Kalina. And then do we go also for a presentation of non-young people? Katie, do you have any advice on this?
Sure, I think we can introduce the other participants on the call.
Okay. I will end with our speakers because I've worked a little bit and I can make a proper introduction to it. But for the people that I don't know and are connected, Mr. Zaidur Haman, are you with us?
Hello, this is Zaidur Rahman. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a journalist and doing my work as a news editor. And currently I'm pursuing my PhD from a private university in democracy and journalism. So that's it. Right now outside, so I'm joining from outside. Anyway,
Thank
you.
you for being there. Anouk Moulin. Do you want to take part? Maybe she will join later. Oh, Anouk, you're here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was putting on my mic. I recently graduated from a master in European Affairs, and I'm interested in issue regarding the ocean, so I decided to join the call today.
Okay, thank you for being here. Sungtaek, oh, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly your name. Seems you're not able to talk with us today. Gina Giolando.
Everyone, I'm Gina Gerlando. I'm based in New York. I'm the Events and Partnerships Manager for Oceanic Global, which is an ocean conservation nonprofit that focuses on connecting folks back to the lifeblood of the planet, which is the ocean. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gina. And last but Katie, did you introduce yourself earlier or not?
I think I did, but I can do a little more introduction. My name is
Yeah.
Katie Mitchell. I'm a research assistant with the Global Ocean Forum. I work mainly on our Common Oceans cross-sectoral project, which is focused on developing cross-sectoral governance in marine areas beyond national jurisdiction. And also I'm helping to co-organize and facilitate this year's Virtual Ocean Pavilion. And I will pass it over to Miriam Balgos, who also works at the Global Ocean Forum.
Thank you.
I think let's have the floor to Dr. Siders first, please. Siders.
Sure. Hi, good morning. I'm Siders. I'm at the University of Delaware. I'm at the Mangone Climate Change Science and Policy Hub, which was formerly the Mangone Marine Policy Hub, working on international marine policy. And so we're very interested in all issues marine. And we also work a lot with students and young leaders. So very excited about today's event.
Thank you, Siders.
And I'll just mention that Dr. Kimberly Aremus is going to be joining us later in the session because, yeah, she and I are going to swap places, basically. So she'll also be coming from the University of Delaware.
Okay.
Thank you, Siders, for the information of those who were not in the earlier session. This event was co-organized by with the leadership of Nausicaa and the World Ocean Network and the Youth4Ocean Forum with the University of Delaware Mangone Center. I think it's called the Hub now, Mangone Climate Change Hub. And so that's why we have experts from the University of Delaware as well. So my name is Miriam Balgos. I'm the Executive Director of the Global Ocean Forum. Happy to see all the young people here and looking forward to the discussion. Thank you. Over to you, Guillaume, please.
Thank you, Miriam. And once again, thank you for welcoming us in the Virtual Ocean Pavilion this year again. So I will now introduce our speakers. So I will start with Anaïs Desprez. Anaïs is working at the Ocean and Climate Platform, where she leads the mobilization and communication efforts. She has a strong passion for the interconnectedness of ocean, climate, and biodiversity, and she's dedicated to amplify the expertise of the Ocean and Climate Platforms Network. Anaïs works to ensure that this knowledge reaches both policymakers and the public, fostering greater awareness and action on critical environment issues. Anaïs, did I forget anything about you? Do you want to add something?
No, I think it's okay. Thank you for inviting me today. I just realized that young people, it's until 30 years old. I'm 32, so okay, let's say that I'm part of the young team, but I'm very happy to be. Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you. And then we'll have Mark Haver. So Mark Haver is the founder of and chief consultant of Blue Green Generation, a consulting firm for impact campaigns for ocean, climate, and sustainable fashion. Mark has been working with the SOA, Sustainable Ocean Alliance, as North America regional representative and global policy advisor for almost 3 years. From 2020 to 2021, Mark was the inaugural chair of SOA's Youth Policy Advisory Council, where he led the development of the Global Blue New Deal, a youth-led crowdsourced ocean and climate policy framework. He has been leading SOA's delegation and building the youth movement for ocean and climate action at the UNEF-CCC since the COP26 in 2021. If I remember correctly, it was in Glasgow. That's you confirm, Mark. Mark, do you want to add anything?
No, not too much. I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone making the time to be part of this. I'm here in Baku, Azerbaijan at COP29. So I'm very excited to be connecting you all to what's happening with respect to the movement for ocean and climate action.
Meeting the
Thank you. We will start with the presentation of Anaïs. Anaïs will introduce you a little bit to the topic of the ocean and climate. So, Anaïs, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Guillaume. Can you see my screen correctly?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay. So again, nice to meet you all, and thank you for inviting me today. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not a scientist, but I will explain you why at the Ocean and Climate Platform we are working on the specific ocean, climate and biodiversity issue. And I will show you some of our infographics that we produced to explain what is happening between these three major issues. So I'm Anaïs Després. I'm head of mobilization and communication at the Ocean and Climate Platform, which is a network of more than 110 organizations, the Sustainable Ocean Alliance, Plymouth Marine Laboratory, Nausicaa, Global Ocean Forum are all part of this huge community. So I'm happy to see partners today. I will just start with a few words about the Ocean and Climate Platform so you will better understand how we work. We celebrated our 10th year anniversary this year in June. The Ocean and Climate Platform has been initially created by I would say between 10 and 15 organizations, all passionate about ocean climate issues that realized when they saw the draft of the preamble of the Paris Agreement that the ocean was not mentioned in it. But these stakeholders, they knew that the ocean was the main climate regulator on Earth. So they decided to create a coalition and to build some policy recommendation just to be sure that decision makers are aware of the major role of the ocean in the climate system and to make sure that the ocean will be integrated in the preamble of the Paris Agreement, which is necessary then for if you want countries to implement ocean-related climate policies, it's always better to have the ocean mentioned somewhere in the text. So it was the first step at this moment. We have been created just before COP21, and we had this first victory with the integration of the ocean within the Paris Agreement. Since then, we are still working to make sure that the interactions between ocean, climate, and biodiversity are well known and understood by the decision makers, but also by the general public. We try to make sure that all the stakeholders mobilized around this nexus can have a place to work all together and to define common messages. And we do advocacy in international fora, such as the Climate COP and the Biodiversity COP. I will not be in Baku this year, but one of my colleagues is already there, and two more are joining tomorrow. So you will meet them, Mark, very shortly. Okay, so here is the small overview about the Ocean and Climate Platform, and now let's dive a bit in the ocean, climate, biodiversity interlinkages. So why have we an interest on this specific topic? First of all, because the ocean is the largest living space on the planet. We always say that we have a blue planet, and it's true because the ocean is like 2/3 of the planet's surface. So we live in ocean planet more than a terrestrial planet, if we think about it. The ocean, so the largest biodiversity hub, it's also the major regulator of the climate system. So the ocean, it absorbs nearly 30% of CO2 from human activities, but it also absorbs more than 90% of the excess heat generated by human activities since the Industrial Revolution. So we often say that without the ocean, it would be impossible to live on the surface of the Earth, just because we would be burning. It's very simple, but it's how it works. You can see on the infographics on your right how the ocean is absorbing the heat and how it's redistributing the heat thanks to surface current, but also thanks to deep cold water current. And that's why we have the temperature that we have on Earth. So it's really important in regulating all the climate system. The ocean, it also provides essential services to human societies. There are a lot of different services, but I just took the example of fisheries activities, since we have today 20% of the global population which directly rely on proteins from the sea for their health. So we all know that today we have bad fisheries practices, and it's a good example to show how the good health of the ocean can also have a direct link to the good health of some local communities. And last but not least, the ocean is a huge source of solutions to combat climate change and biodiversity loss, but I will explain that a bit further. The ocean is also under many threats. Today, we can see that there are a lot of cumulative impacts. Scientists, they are alerting about the fact that these impacts are greater and greater, and we have two main categories of impacts. So the human-induced climate change and human activities. When we talked about the impacts of climate change on the ocean, we have phenomena just such as warming, acidification, deoxygenation, but also increase in some extreme events and rising sea levels, which is irreversible and going how can I say that? The phenomenon is irreversible, and we can see that the sea is rising quicker and quicker. I show you on this presentation an infographic about marine heat wave. It's one of the extreme events that we can observe in the ocean. And since the past century, we have an increase of marine heat waves of 54%. This infographic is built on the latest IPCC reports, the sixth assessment. And I found it interesting to show you this infographic because we can see how this phenomenon, so an extreme event, which is occurring more and more, has all ecological impacts, cascading effects, and socio-economic impacts. We can see that the fact that the marine heat waves has impact on species shift, on new species invasion, on algae blooms, at least all these phenomena have direct impacts on human and on local communities, since that we can see that we have fishing closures and also some food security issues. And so I was talking about the climate change impact, but we have also, of course, human activities impact. Overfishing is one of the worst, since we have 34% of fish stocks that are today overexploited. We also have a lot of different pollutions, chemical, atmospheric, of course, plastic pollution, which is a huge threat. But also what we call artificialization with coastal development and habitat destruction. So even though the ocean is a great ally for us, today it is experiencing multiple threats, and the threats are more and more important. But as I said just before, and it's one of our main message here at the Ocean and Climate
Trial
Platform.
version.
Oh, sorry, I heard something, but
Trial version.
Okay, I keep going. One of our main message here at the Ocean Climate Platform and with our partners, SOA, Nausicaa, etc., is to say that the ocean can offer a lot of solutions, both to address climate change and the biodiversity crisis. For instance, we have examples such as the marine protected areas. If we are able today to implement the 30 by 30 objective of the Biodiversity Convention, we will make sure that we will protect some vital habitats, that we will support wildlife and the communities that depend directly on them. There are also solutions around the blue carbon ecosystem, conservation and protection. These ecosystems, so mangroves, seagrasses and wetlands, they naturally capture CO2, but they are also a nursery for a lot of different fishes, and they can bring a lot of different co-benefits. So it's really important to preserve these ecosystems for climate and biodiversity goals. There are a lot of different solutions to develop within the fishing industry. As I say today, we have the most part of the fishing industry practices are not sustainable at all, but today we have a lot of different scientific studies that show us that it's possible to manage fish stock to ensure that they will replenish in the future. And it's possible to maintain the ocean's health by preserving this ecosystem and by changing our practices, because at least today we have a lot of coastal communities that suffer directly from the practices that we have, and they are not benefiting from it, even though they are largely dependent on fishes. Another solution that the ocean can give us is the development of marine renewable energy. So it's a very important solution to mitigate our GHG emissions, and there are a lot of different marine renewable energies that we can deploy all around the world. And another sectorial solution, I would say, it's to make the shipping industry greener or bluer. It's all today possible to minimize pollution from boats and ships to protect all the marine ecosystems, and also to develop other solutions, for example, for the noise, to make sure that the marine ecosystem won't be disturbed. So all these kind of solutions, we are working with our members to make sure that the decision makers are aware that it's possible to develop ocean-based solution to both address climate change and biodiversity crisis, and we can develop this ocean-based solution in a lot of different ways. Some of them will be implemented in a national level or international level, but some solutions are also local and has to be built directly with local communities. And to finish this presentation, I just would like to make a small focus on COP29. So as I said, we participate in all the climate and biodiversity COPs since last year's, mainly climate COPs, because we are attending climate COPs since our creation. And Mark will explain that better than me, but this year we have a strong focus on finance at this COP. As you can imagine, the ocean is not the main focus of the Azerbaijan presidency, but still, I would like to show you some main recommendations that we would like to hold at this COP as a network. For instance, to integrate ocean solutions into climate policy. As I said, ocean solutions are also climate solutions, and it's really important to ensure that countries in their national strategies will include ocean-based solution. We also need absolutely to mobilize financial support to scale up the implementation of these solutions. There is also important topic on ocean-related climate finance, since today we need to have some adequate fund to make sure that we will be able to implement the solution. And we need to explain to decision maker that they need to invest in ocean if they want to invest in climate action. Another of our main recommendation is to align climate and biodiversity strategies. So this year we have the climate COP that is happening right now. We had the biodiversity COP just 2 weeks ago, and for the first time, I think in 4 years, countries will have to present a revised national strategies almost at the same time. We have just a few months of differences between these two submissions, and it's a great occasion for countries to align their strategies and to put the ocean for and front of these strategies. Because if you act with ocean-based solution for climate, you also act for biodiversity. So it's very important for us to make sure that all these strategies are built with a common vision of what sustainable development is and what a desirable future is too. And of course, the last key message would be to foster global collaboration. We need to have all hands on deck to improve the current situation, and it's really important to encourage international cooperation at all levels between states, between organizations of civil society, and of course between the general public, youth, and all the experts of these topics. So that's it for my presentation. I hope that it was clear, and I think that there will be a Q&A session just after Mark's presentation, so feel free to ask anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anaïs. So as you said, now I will give the floor to Mark that will enlighten us on the possibilities of the youth to participate and advocate for the ocean at the COP climate. Mark, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Guillaume. Thank you so much, Anaïs. It's honestly an opportunity and a pleasure to be able to coalesce this group of young people working to advance ocean climate action. I'm here at COP29, but this is not my first rodeo. I got involved with COP26. And how I got involved was this project called the Global Blue New Deal. In the United States, we had this really interesting climate movement centered around this framework called the Green New Deal. There were these two politicians. One of them is a youth champion herself, Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez from New York. And they created this vision for what they wanted US climate policy and our climate future for future generations to look like. This Green New Deal became the basis of this really strengthened and energized youth movement across the world. And I thought to myself, now it's amazing to think about what we want our climate future to be, but what do we want our ocean future to be as young people? And so with Sustainable Ocean Alliance, I launched the inaugural Youth Policy Advisory Council with 15 to 20 young ocean policy professionals, each one from a different country, to try and create this youth-led, crowdsourced framework for ocean and climate policy solutions. This was essentially the platform that unified the global youth voice behind common calls to action for ocean action. And we, of course, understand how much the climate impacts our ocean. And now we also understand just how much the ocean and ocean-based climate solutions are an opportunity to fight and adapt to climate change. So that's what brought me to COP26. The Global Blue New Deal became endorsed by the UN high-level climate champions. And that was my entry point into getting involved with the ocean climate community that's working at these COPs. But what's been interesting is that yes, of course, I am trying to be involved in the ocean space, but I'm a young person, I'm 26 years old, and I wanted to be part of this youth movement for climate action as well. So over the past 4 years, I've had the pleasure of tracking just how youth engagement and this climate movement has been institutionalized within UN climate change systems and processes. And not just have I been integrated in how the youth have been institutionalized, but what progress have we made on including oceans? And so those two different avenues of my engagement and my identity and engaging with this process have had similar but varied levels of progress. And I think it's important for us to analyze just how much progress we've been able to make on youth inclusion and just how much progress we've been able to make on ocean inclusion. So I'll start with youth inclusion. So we as young people are the stakeholders who are going to be feeling the effects of climate change the most and the longest, right? If you're an 80-year-old, you'll see the effects of climate change for the next couple of decades. For us, we'll have the effects of climate change affect us for the rest of our lives. So the decisions that we make today are ones that are going to affect us the most. And in a democratic governance system for a global commons, like our climate, like our oceans, we should be present in those decision-making environments because the decisions that we make today directly affect us and our future for the longest amount of time. That's been the argument for many young people in this UN climate change system. And I think, Magdalena, you're off mute. So if you could go on mute, that'd be great. Thanks. And so what's happened is that at COP26 was the first acknowledgement that young people should be included in climate decision-making at local, national, and international levels. This was huge because the Glasgow Climate Pact at COP26 was essentially like, yes, youth should be included. This is in the official text, which is a pathway to this becoming more institutionalized and more formal. So then COP27 went farther. COP27 said, hey, specifically, we should include young people in the delegations that countries send to negotiate at UN climate change, like COP. Not only was that significant, but COP27 also created this youth envoy, which was led by Dr. Omnia El Amrani to enhance youth engagement at COP. And there was this establishment of the Children and Youth Pavilion. So COP27 is like, okay, we see the momentum going. This is great. But once again, these are recommendations. There isn't an institutionalized office yet that enables young people that doesn't enhance youth inclusion across the COP processes with the funding and capacity building to do it. There is this organization called YoungGo, and YoungGo is the official youth constituency. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 35, you can join YoungGo and be part of this huge coalition of young people that are trying to be active in these UN climate change systems and processes. They have all these different working groups that are focused on different themes. There's one for the oceans called Ocean's Voice that you can join. But how do we go beyond this loose constituency, trying to coalesce on what these calls to actions are and what our collective advocacy is? That's why COP28 was super consequential, because at COP28, there was the UAE consensus, and this institutionalized a presidency youth climate champion role under the UNFCCC process so that each COP presidency has a dedicated advocate for young people within the presidency leadership, acting as a bridge to decision makers that's doing these things: enhancing the inclusion, participation, and representation of children and youth, empowering young people to contribute, so capacity building and education, elevating and amplifying the voices of young people, and catalyzing action by leveraging the COP to advance, resource, and monitor youth-led climate action. So that's pretty amazing. We literally went 4 years ago from being, hey, we should include young people at all these levels, to now having an entire office, staff team, and champion role dedicated to the nitty-gritty, meaningful youth engagement, the important ways to actually support youth inclusion. So that's the example of how much progress we've made on meaningful youth inclusion within the COP system and process. But what about the ocean? So the ocean is a slightly different story. I mean, obviously, there are different ways in which the UN climate change mechanism is structured. But COP25 in Madrid, Spain was the first COP that really tried to make the ocean a central part of the dialogue. It was called the Blue COP. So they were like, hey, the ocean and climate are very connected. We should try and emphasize just how important it is, and we should do this ocean and climate dialogue. So this is the first time where there was this opportunity for civil society and parties to get together to say, hey, we need to emphasize just how interconnected the ocean and climate are. So that was great. And then at COP26, they were like, that was a great idea. We should make this an annual thing. So then after COP26, they decided to make it an annual thing. These happen at the SB sessions. Everyone knows about COP, but there's also UN climate change meetings in June at the UN Climate Change campus in Bonn. So that's great. Hopefully this dialogue is a way where we can encourage greater ambition. But what we're finding is that the people who are coming to these meetings are the same people who are already performing ocean action within their national agendas and in their international commitments to UN climate change. There have been significant initiatives like the Ocean Breakthrough, the Coastal Tourism Breakthrough, which is launching at this year's COP, the Coral Reef Breakthrough, and the Mangrove Breakthrough that are trying to support the implementation of these different types of projects to really be able to say, we have the ambition, now we have the financing, and now we can implement these solutions on the ground to advance nature and ocean related action. But there still is a lack of capacity. We are all these civil society organizations, and especially Ocean and Climate Platform is doing an incredible job of really being able to connect civil society organizations together to be able to advocate for the inclusion of ocean-based climate solutions. But we're still a very small group. We don't have a ton of ocean people tracking negotiations. We don't have someone coordinating between Sustainable Ocean Alliance, Ocean's Voice, the UN Ocean Decade, ECOP people, Nausicaa, the general youth movement. Like there's a lot of opportunity there for us to leverage climate organizations, the youth movement to support our asks, but we don't have the funding to do it. We don't have the capacity to do it. And what ends up happening is that you have organizations like SOA, Ocean and Climate Platform, and Ocean Conservancy, and others that are doing really great work. But we don't have the time to coordinate and communicate in a way that allows us to achieve the same level of institutionalized support for the inclusion of ocean-based climate solutions and to build capacity for the negotiating teams here at the UN from different countries to be able to support, once again, that ocean action. So we have this small ocean bubble. They're not connected to this larger climate movement. The people who are advancing the action on climate aren't aware of the power and potential of the ocean. And so it creates this feedback loop where even though we've seen this incredible youth movement, the ocean community is still lagging behind in some of the action and progress that it can take. So that is to say that there's a long way to go, but there's a lot that we can do as young people to become connected to this movement and make the difference. One of them is getting involved in organizations like Sustainable Ocean Alliance. We've been sending a youth delegation to COP since COP25. We really want to be able to build capacity and support young people to be included in these systems and processes. But the fact of the matter is this: we've had 29 COPs and we've passed 1.5 degrees of warming. Not good. The UNFCCC is important, but there's a lot of debate here on, is it working? Is it working well enough? Is this the system that can save us at all? So the action that we need for our climate future, it needs to be on the ground. And next year, there's a very important system and process. There are these things called the NDCs, Nationally Determined Contributions, and countries have to submit them every 5 years. Next year is when they need to submit the next round. An NDC, a nationally determined contribution, is like your plan to reduce emissions in your country. And we can reduce the emissions gap by 35% with ocean-based climate solutions. That's a lot. That's a whole lot, and people don't know it. So what we need to do as a youth community is we need to work with our civil societies in our countries to be able to advocate for increased inclusion of ocean-based climate solutions. And I'm not saying we need offshore wind. I'm saying that we need to work with the climate groups in our countries that are working to influence the government and how they shape their NDC to say, we need offshore wind. We need this number of gigawatts of offshore wind in our country by X date. We need to restore 1,200 hectares of blue carbon ecosystems with an emphasis on our seagrasses in the sea by this date. And there may be science in your countries that's already proven what are these really important solutions that can advance decarbonization, mitigation, adaptation, whatever it is. But the thing is that if you include these very specific ocean-based climate solutions in the NDCs, the specific targets help people from the finance world and from the finance mechanisms that we're negotiating during COP29 to say, oh, okay, I know you want offshore wind. I'm not going to give money to support offshore wind because I want to give money to support the specific targets that you have. I don't want to know what you need. I want to know what you need and how we achieve that. What is the frame for which we can send that money? There are a bunch of different ways to get involved. I'll stop there. But I would really love to continue this conversation with you all on how we can advance ocean climate action together and build this youth movement for this ocean climate action ahead of COP30 and this new round of how countries can support ocean climate action and climate action generally, reducing carbon emissions in their plan to do that. Thank you so
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. So, do we have any question? So please, if you have any question, whether raise your hand or put your question in the chat. So whether a question to Anaïs or a question to Mark to help you to better understand some of what I've been talking about. So. No question, are you sure? I'm sure there is plenty of you. We have still some interrogation about the ocean and climate change. No, really. Oh, thank you so much, Anaïs and Mark, for you both brilliant presentations that left our participants without any question. Incredible. Thank you so much. So we'll, oh, is there a end ways? Dana, I've been told that you might have your end ways. Is it the case? No? No, she was clapping. So once again, thank you so much, Anaïs. Thank you so much, Mark. I will invite the participants. Yeah, Mark?
Yeah, thanks. I just saw a question from Joe in the chat, and I thought it'd be helpful for me to answer that live. So
okay.
Joe asked, how do you think is the best way to get more youth involved in this? In terms of like more youth, I would say like, listen, if I keep talking to the ocean community about how important the ocean is, I'm gonna be like, it's great, but they're not the people that need to hear it. So I say infiltrate the youth climate groups that are not inherently ocean and be like, guys, the ocean is so important. Let's get on this train together. So one, do that with your communities at home. Secondly, join SOA because we're trying to create the recommendations for our hubs. We have a franchise model basically where we have like 93 hubs in 65 countries or something like that. Different hubs have different amounts of political influence, and we're trying to leverage the hubs that have the most political influence to be able to give their governments these recommendations like, hey, include offshore wind 10 gigawatts by 2030, for example. So get involved with us, but also please get involved with the official youth constituency, right? Youngo, join Youngo, get involved in our working group. Because I don't want this just to be SOA, you know, like I want this to be something that we can coordinate amongst all these different youth groups that are trying to advance ocean and climate action. And we need help with that. So those are different ways to get involved from the local level to the international UNFCCC level.
Thank you, Mark. Anais, do you have something to add on how the youth can get better involved in this ocean and climate topic and negotiations and etc.?
I'm not sure that I could have anything to add about negotiations, since I think that the examples proposed by Mark are the best one. But I think that to be interested by the topic, to understand how it works, how the world works, just on the natural way, I think it's really simple, but it's the basis today. I think that we are a lot of people who feel like disconnected from our environment just because we don't study it when we are young, just because I don't know, we are living in the world where we live. But I think that first of all, yes, to have an interest on the topic and to keep this interest, because we are talking about things that are truly beautiful. And even if sometimes we could be a bit hopeless, it's still beautiful. It's beautiful today. It will remain beautiful tomorrow too. And I think that we can change things by just trying to get on board people around us. I don't know if it's the answer that you were expecting, but we were talking about something very institutional and political, but I think that individual way to give hope and to give beautiful things to people around us is also something really important. And I can see the difference with my parents, for instance. They didn't have any interest on this topic like a few years ago. And since I'm getting more and more passionate about the ocean, they are getting passionate too, and they are changing some little stuff in their daily life, you know. So just yeah, keep going, we have to keep our mindset open and full of hope, I think. Well, I would say that.
Thank you so much, Anais, and thank you, Mark. So I will invite all of you to follow what SOA and what the Ocean Climate Platform are doing. They are doing an amazing job. So thank you again for being there today. So we will now go to the next
we
phase
have
of the
another
workshop.
question in the chat.
Yeah, but I think we won't have the time to treat it. So I'm sorry, Joe. Maybe on the next time, or maybe I will check with Anais after the Ocean Climate Platform after the meeting and answer to your question by email later. Thank you, Katie, for noticing it. So I will now invite you to go to the whiteboard, and if you haven't done it yet, put your major concern regarding the ocean and climate topic in the red notes. If you have not done it yet, put your name in one of the blue notes without removing the code, and then you can still contribute to the major challenge you would like to highlight about the ocean and climate nexus in the red notes without removing the code, please. While you are doing this, I will start to cluster the challenges. So I will share my screen so we can work all together on this. Okay. Do you see my screen now? Yeah, good.
Yes.
So I will start with the first proposition from Joe. So, Joe, your first challenge is carbon emissions. Vehicles are heavily relied upon in day-to-day life. However, we are producing a large amount of carbon emissions, accounting for around 20% of emission in the US. Vehicles often produce more carbon emission in real-world situations compared to testing. Therefore, go underreported. Okay, so I will create a first category here about carbon emissions. Okay, which is the first category of change, and I will put the proposition of Joe under it. If you have any of your challenges that is linked with this ocean and this carbon emissions category, please put it under the red notes carbon emissions that is below all the other notes. Okay. And then I will go to the first proposition of Aigun. The most significant challenge in the development of ocean-based solutions to climate change is the lack of appropriated policy tools created by marine social scientists.
Yes.
Those operating in the field of natural science are advancing incomplete and flow under policy formulation and implementation processes. So I will just sum up this. Will it go in a category about the difficulties of the interface between scientists and policymakers?
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. So once again, I'll put it under science policymakers interface. Okay. If any of your challenges will suit under this category, please do it also like this. Let's try the first proposition of Isabel. One challenge I have noticed is the failure to prioritize the ocean in policy decisions rather than the economy. Especially in the US, society cares way too much about economic success rather than livelihood of the import of the ocean, and we are contributing to its downfall. Isabel, do you have any suggestion of categories about this one, or should it go maybe also in some part linked with the science and policymakers interface?
Yeah, I maybe like the policymakers or just like policy in general.
Because if I'm correct, you can read it again. You are mentioning that failure to prioritize the oceans. So maybe one thing is that the policymakers doesn't understand enough how the ocean is important in this process, and in this way it is linked with the ocean, the science and policymakers interface. So if it suits you, I will put it under it like this. Thank you, Isabel. And next one, blue carbon. Coastal ecosystem mangroves store carbon, but their destruction limits climate mitigations. Okay. Melinda, are you here? I would create a new category like mentioning that the lack of protection of marine ecosystems limit carbon absorption. Okay. Does it seems relevant to you? Or maybe we could put it with a carbon emission thing. I don't know. Let's keep it that way. Elizabeth, you are mentioning countries fail to work together when addressing climate change. So lack of international cooperation.
Yes, I think that's a good name for the category.
Okay. Okay, the next one from Lisa, sea level rise and the risk for coastal communities. Let's create a category about sea level rise. Okay. I'm seeing that Thais also done a topic on a message on this. Okay. Next one, reduce activities and resources demanding high energy consumption. Okay. I will keep it here because previously we had also messages about the prioritization of economy versus the environment. So maybe we will need to create a category like this. So the second proposition from Kalina also go under the lack of international cooperation. Second proposition of also go there. What is the second proposition? Since 30% of the world's population lives near the coast, sea level rise is a major threat. Okay. Once again, on sea level rise, there is, okay, 5 still. Forcing serious action and pressure on massive corporations responsible on the majority of emissions. Not shifting the burden on standard working person. Okay, that's so more linked with economic development, which is linked with the notes from Juliet. Companies responsible. Okay, so I think with these three, we have we can create a category about impact of economic development. Can be rephrased later, but the idea is here. Impact of economic development on the environment. Okay, this one goes there too. This one goes on the silver wise. This one too. Okay. And I saw there was a proposition there. Accessibility of formal ocean literacy to vulnerable communities, Western political, social, and educational acknowledgement, and understanding of ocean experiences of vulnerable communities, including but not limited to refugees, disabled youth, neurodivergent youth, Arab communities, and war-torn areas. Okay, so I will put it, if you agree, on the science policy makers interface, and we could science/ocean literacy to policy interface. Okay. I will, now that we have sorted all of your propositions, we will make a vote to check what is the major preoccupation for you. So I will select these three categories and launch a vote on the whiteboard. So challenge priority. And you will have 3 votes per person. So, and I will give you 2 minutes to vote for your 3 most important topic challenge to you. So if you're on the whiteboard, you will see this. Click on the join button and you'll be able to vote by pushing plus or my plus to the category that interesting you the most. So 13 people have joined, 10 have used all their vote, 11, one more, one less, because I am the last one and I won't vote, I won't influence your contribution. Okay, I will now stop the session. And what are the results? So a lot of vote for the economic impact on the environment, the lack of international cooperation, the need to increase the science/ocean literacy to policymakers interface, and then the second one on the list, less important to you is the lack of protection of marine ecosystem and limit carbon absorption, that limits the possibility for the environment to absorb carbon, then silver-wise, and then carbon emissions. So now what we will do is please suggest the solutions you would like to implement to tackle the problems that have been identified. So to do this, put the solution you recommend in the green notes under your name, and as usual, don't remove the code, and then select take your proposition and put it on the right of the the problem you would like to tackle. So to do this, I will give you 4 minutes. Okay, it is launched. I'm saying that a lot of you already shared their contribution, their proposed solution. We will finish this session of possible solution that you suggest in 1 minute now. Okay, we have now finished the session to propose solution. We will now work in small groups of groups to 3 to 5 people. So to identify on which topic you would like to work, please take your blue notes with your name and put it near the red category you would like to work on. During this work, you will work to create an action sheets where you detail one or several of the proposed solutions and decide how to implement the solutions on the topic of ocean and climate change. So there is one person on carbon emissions. There is two person on the policymakers interface with science and ocean literacy. There is two person on impact of economic development on the environment and two people on sea level rise. Juliet is having trouble with the internet. Dana, are you still there? Dana, Ahmed, yeah, you're here. On which topic you would like to work? Okay, so and Belle, you would like to work on sea level rise or on international cooperation aspects?
Sea level rise.
Sea level rise, okay. Okay, so maybe Joe, as you the sole person to want to work on the topic of carbon emissions, maybe you would like to join another group?
Yeah, I'm happy to work on whichever. So whichever one has the last, I'll join if you want.
Which groups? Sorry, I didn't hear you well. Which group will suit you also?
I'm happy to work on whichever one. So if there's one with lesson, then I can join that one.
Okay. So Katie, could you create the breakout rooms?
Sure. And just to confirm, that would be 5 breakout rooms?
4.
4. Okay.
Sorry. So in the breakout room, you can see on the right, just where we were, on the right, there is a series of links. So the group Science and Ocean Literacy Interface, please select the solution one. The lack of protection of marine ecosystem, please select the solution 2. And sea level wise, you'll be solution 3. And impact of economic development on the environment, you'll be solution 4. And then you will expect the same thing for breakout rooms. Breakout rooms 1 will work on solution 1, breakout room 2 on solutions 2, etc., etc. So I will show you how look the template of the action sheets. So you have all the explanations in comments on what we are expecting. As we are quite short on time, please focus on the title of your action, the descriptions, the goals, and the steps you recommend for the implementation of the actions. So let's start the working groups, and you also have an example of what is expected at the left of the solutions. So you just have to click on the bottom of the notes to join your solutions and work all together on the description of the solution. And I will switch from groups to groups to check if you need anything. So let's start the work. And if you have any question before, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat. And let's decide that we all join the main room at I would say in 25 minutes maximum.
Right. Breakout rooms should be open, so please let me know if anyone is not able to join the room.
I think that now everyone is here. So thank you so much for your contributions. So your action sheets, your beginning of action sheets will continue to be developed after the meetings. And of course, you will be credited for your contribution. And these sheets will feed smartphone applications to help people who want to get engaged for the ocean to find how they can tackle the problems they would like to tackle. And based on the first contribution you made, we will develop a detailed action sheets that will help them to implement their actions. Before we leave, I will invite you to go back to the whiteboard. I will once again put the link to the chat, and now we will ask you to contribute to the purple notes where you will write the message you would like to address to policymakers to recognize the role of the youth in ocean governance and decision-making processes. So what messages you want to address to policymakers to recognize the role of youth in ocean governance and decision-making processes? So please write this in the purple notes. I will give you 5 minutes. Okay. And in the meantime, if you have already finished to write your messages, and if you have any questions, feel free. So you are still 3 minutes to finish, but during this time, I would like to invite you to check the program of the Virtual Ocean Pavilion, as there is still events in the coming days. So have a look, it might interest you. So there is a lot of interesting speakers there. There is also some virtual booths where you can connect with organizations that are working on the ocean and climate nexus. Thank you, Mark. Stay in touch, of course. We are, just to inform you that we are working with more than 30 other organizations in the frame of a Citizen of the Ocean initiative to ensure to have a place and some time for the youth to speak for their generation and advocate for the ocean they want, for the future they want, at the UN Ocean Conference that will take place in Nice in France in June. And basically that's it. Your messages will be gathered to policymakers to create a manifesto. So people will gather your messages, and we will work with several representatives of different regions of the world in the seminar in Nausicaa to finalize a manifesto, and we will of course come back to you in the process to be sure to share your messages and do not interpret it in the wrong way.
Thank you, everyone. I will put a link to the Virtual Ocean Pavilion platform in the chat for anyone that has not had a chance to visit yet. Registration is free. And as Guillaume said, we have some more events and a lot of interactive features available. So we'd love to welcome all of you to that platform.
Okay. Who's writing under the number 14? Sorry, because you didn't put your name on the blue. So just to be sure to not forget who you were. The person who talked about cooperation and co-management of natural resources to have consensual and more coherent solutions to walk. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Sign what you just put your name. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So, Katie, for me, everything is good. I would like to really thank you very much for your contributions. Once again, thank you to the speakers, and thank you to the Global Ocean Forum for welcoming us on the Virtual Ocean Pavilion. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. And thank you to Guillaume for facilitating this session. This was really great. And I hope all of our youth panelists enjoyed it as well, and hope to connect with some of you through the Virtual Ocean Pavilion. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Don't hesitate to join me on LinkedIn if you have any question or want to stay in touch with the process.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.